You're listening to The Pete Sheppard Show.
Oh, it's good to be back.
Fly ball, well hit right field. Magnum back to the wall, it's gone! Alex Bregman with number 3, the second of the night for the Red Sox as they continue to tee off. It's 4-1.
Use the whole field. Only pull-side power, right? You stay on the...
The magic number is 5, Alex Bregman. As in 5 for 5. 4 RBI. The Red Sox come back. A pretty good night last night, coming back after getting humiliated a couple nights ago. They come back and win. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network. We got MLB to talk about, NBA playoffs, and a whole lot more. Let's get it going. You see my little friend here. Big friend, actually. And the reason is because there were some TNT shenanigans last night, and the Hulk was referenced. So, of course, thanks to my good friend Marie, who gave me this, because I have a lot of little superheroes in my collection. I get them. I don't have them up on a mantle or anything like that, but I am a geek that way. I have these like huge Avenger type stuff. They're all scattered all over the house somewhere. Illinois' peanut gallery in the other room. But nevertheless, Dr. David Bruce Banner is here, the Incredible Hulk. And so are you, and thank you guys. We got a lot going on today. Big show coming up for you. Bill Burt at 8:05 a.m., Bill Sparrows. Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune at 8:05 a.m., the Boston Heralds, and Bookie.com senior betting analyst Bill Sparrows at 8:30, and Mia O'Brien. Haven't talked to her in a couple of weeks. She's got some time for us today up in Jacksonville, up at 1010 XL. Everybody's talking about what's going to be available for the Patriots at 4 and Jacksonville at 5. So we'll get her thoughts. Shedeur Sanders and the Giants. There's so much stuff going on with this draft, and I think it's highly unpredictable after the first pick. I really do. You still have Aaron Rodgers out there. There's a lot to talk about as well in the NFL. A little bit of college football news too. TNT, or the playoffs last night, as you saw on TNT, the Atlanta Hawks got trounced by Orlando 120-95, and then Golden State got by Memphis 121-116. So what we do know, I'll run down the whole NBA playoff schedule, what we know for now in just a few minutes, but I know the Celtics will be playing at 3:30 p.m. on Sunday, Easter Sunday, on ABC against the Orlando Magic. So those of you plan your Easter dinner accordingly. Mine's at 1:30. So I'll have a couple of hours and then get to watch the Celtics. And I'll go through the whole schedule in just a little bit. NHL playoffs. There's a couple regular season games left, but pretty much it's all set. Paul Bissonnette was his annual delusion that the Toronto Maple Leafs are going to do anything. We'll get to his cut and a lot more. A lot of people have a lot of comments on what's going on with the Giants. Shedeur Sanders, as I said, is Dion getting involved, which is what I was afraid of. Does he not want his son to go to the Giants now, even though last month he said, yeah, you can go to the Giants, but now you're hearing stuff like, does he want his son to go to a bad team? Will he allow it? That kind of nonsense. Anyway, lots going on, and we say good morning to the one and only Angel Martinez up in Tampa Bay. I'm in beautiful Fort Myers, where it was already 62 degrees on way to a very beautiful day here, about 80, 81. I'm assuming it's the same. Up yonder there in Tampa. How are you? How are you, Angel? Good morning.
Good morning, Pete. Yes, it is a lovely 63 degrees here in the Tampa region. We're going up to 84, I believe, if I heard correctly. But then we have that weird cold front with zero rain coming tonight. And then the overnight's supposed to go down to 45. Figured that one out. But then tomorrow's going to be 89. So
good. Hey, nothing like that. Shut the AC off at night. Beautiful.
Yeah, we didn't even have it on yesterday. We had it off, had the doors, windows open. It was nice. Where you get a nice
we did too, and then I had to put the AC on for about a couple of hours, and then at night again, and then we went to bed, put the AC back on, but we had the doors and windows open most of the day. It's great.
It is. It's whether you couldn't friggin' beat it. And then you have, because we all know it's about to get, tortuously hot around here, which none of us mind because you have pools, AC, all the fun stuff that for those and the beach for that matter too. But it's going to be nice. And I'm trying to think, was there something? Oh, we will be, of course, covering this year's 2025 NFL draft up in Green Bay. So Duncan Dad will be up there doing some reporting live from Green Bay. So it should be a great, great time.
Awesome, yeah. Hopefully we can get him on the day of the draft, depending on when his flight is, everything else, but definitely, or the next day. So that would be a great. Duncan Dad's going out there to Lambeau Field. I've never been there, actually. There's a few places I've not been. Dying to go. But.
Yeah, only been via video game. That's it. That matters.
All right, we'll get to my friend here in a second. Got to put him down. Ouch. He's all right. He can handle it. Anyway, thanks for checking us out on the Coastal Sports Network video platform. Following me on X and Twitter at PShep326, on CSN Florida, YouTube, Rumble, Kick, LinkedIn, and call or text the show 727-858-6650.
Real quick before you get into it, thanks to, and I know we like to have fun with the villages. We talk about their loofahs and all the different stuff, but thank you to the villages for downloading the episodes. There's been a crazy spike from the villages in Ocala, so we do appreciate you guys listening.
Oh, we're hot in Ocala?
Yeah, we sure are.
The upside down pineapples and shit like that? Or, I forget the other signs. I don't know.
Yeah,
People put stuff on their doors and on their doorsteps and on their little stoops, indicating their favorite sexual colloquialisms, whatever you want to call it. I prefer open and honest sign. Like,
open?
why don't you just come in? I want to nail you. How about that? I mean, why not be direct? Why beat around the bush?
It's true. I guess it's a good talk. Or you could do like what was it from Grumpy Old Men or Grumpy Old Men? Have you ever been to Hawaii? No, come on, I want to lay you.
But what is so hard about? I mean, if you're that open and liberalish about it, and I don't mean that in a political way, but just why can't you? If you're into that, we'll just go. Hey, come on in. I'd like to sleep with you, and then we can have a couple of drinks and tea and crumpets. But first, let's get down to business. Why beat around the bush?
Good point.
Why all these upside down pineapples and different little signals, and everybody knows what they mean.
Yeah.
We're not stupid.
That was no different in the military. The military, for a lot of us that were deployed, for some of the folks that stayed behind, they used to put the mop outside the housing barracks.
What does that mean?
Well, if they put the mop outside, upside down, usually if you put okay. So those who grew up in different neighborhoods, sometimes you would take the mop, you put it outside to dry, but the mop head would be up, leaning up against the house or building, whatever else that you have. And down in Fort Bragg, which I'm quite sure they don't do this anymore. But anyways, you put the mop upside down. So it's on the ground, stick leaning up against the house and or the barrack. And that would basically signify that, by the way, my G.I. Joe is out deployed. So it's time to come to have fun.
I'm not following you. Is it inviting women into the barracks? I mean, I don't understand.
So the wives would invite the men.
Just tell it me directly as you can, because I don't understand these signs.
Yeah,
Does that mean you're gay or not gay, or what's going on?
No, it was the wives that those were married, because you can only be married and have the housing barracks on post. If you're off post, some guys would arrange just to get married for 3 or 4 years so they can live off post, so they wouldn't have to, because you can't live off post if you're single. You must be married. Yeah. That's the only way they allow you to do it. Now, of course, it probably changed as well.
So
but
the wives put the mop a certain way. Does that mean the husbands come in and they have have a roll in the hay and then that's it? Yeah. Is that what you're telling me?
Yep. That's what it came out to.
But if it's the other way around, what does that mean? What does that mean?
And if you're, if it's the right way up, that means you're just drying out the mop. You went and mopped the kitchen or mopped wherever you mopped and just lean it up there. But if it's upside down, then yeah. Yes, things that you learned back from the early 80s and 90s.
That's a new one for me. I'd never heard of that one before, but if that's a military thing, you would know. I would not. I don't know. Surprised somebody picked them up with a lethal weapon or something.
You could if you showed up at Jackie Chan's house.
All right. Yeah, I did learn. I did learn something. All right, we got a lot of video and some audio to play for you. Let's begin with my boys in Tampa last night. God, that stadium, I think it sucks. I'm sure it's nice facility. It's probably nicer, as I said, probably nicer than the Trop, but it feels like you're at a Little League game, you know, but that's
Field, yeah.
it feels like you're at a Little League game. It's even the foul ball, the territory. It looks, I don't think it's a good look for Major League Baseball. I just don't. I'm sure the facilities are fine and the concessions are probably fine, all that. But when you're looking at it on TV, it looks like a Little League game. But anyway, we'll see what happens in the later months when they go through the rainy season down here and see how many delays that they get.
Yep.
All right, Alex Bregman went 5 for 5 last night. A couple of home runs and 4 RBI. Jaron Duran also a big hit there. And let's get to some of the highlights, shall we? Jaron Duran, top of the second.
Goes 1-1. And a high fly ball left field, well hit. Burrell backing up, turning around, and it's gone! Home run! Jaron Duran for the first time this year. Knocks it out of here in Tampa. A 2-run shot, and the Sox lead 3-0.
That's where he's at his best.
Yeah, he certainly is. Then in the top of the third inning, Alex Bregman struck.
Fly ball, well hit right field. Mangum back to the wall, and it's gone! Alex Bregman with number 3, the second of the night for the Red Sox as they continue to tee off. It's 4-1.
Use the whole field.
That's Dave O'Brien and Lou Maloney
Right? You stay on the
on Nesson last night. Meanwhile, from the FanDuel Sports Network, though, here's Alex Bregman singling. Was a triple shy of the cycle last night, but here he is in the top of the ninth, going 5 for 5.
And a base hit punched up the middle. And a 5-hit night for Alex Bregman. He is 5 for 5.
Yeah, 5 for 5, and the Red Sox go on to win the game by a score of 7-4. Elsewhere around Major League Baseball, the Cubs in San Diego in a good one, not too many runs. Here's what the game winner, eventual game winner, was in the top of the 10th.
Swing and a line drive, and that's a base hit out into right center field. Swanson's going to score. Nico's going to head to third. Watch him run on his way, and he's got himself a triple. 2-1 Cubs.
Man, is it good to see Nico Horner healthy. Look at the ball. Look at the authority in that swing. The power wasn't there. The slug was down. Somehow he hit 270 with a bunch of doubles. He's going to do a lot more than that this year.
All right, now before that, I believe that's the Padres' first home loss this year, so they're like 11-1. But earlier, an interesting scenario, this happened before Manny Machado hit his home run. Check this out.
2 down here in the 5th for Manny Machado. Fly ball down the right field line. Long run for Kyle Tucker into foul ground. He drops it. Got there but could not catch it. Wasn't sure he was going to be able to get all the way over there. He did, but just didn't catch it. Popped up a mile high. They're coming from everywhere. The catcher, though, oh no, it's going to be a third baseman dropping it, and it's in foul ground. Gage Workman takes charge, and he drops the baseball.
And then
high drive, deep left field for Manny Machado. At the wall, gone! Manny Machado connects on his second home run of the year. Padres take a 1-0 lead.
You talk about taking advantage of 2 huge mistakes from the Cubs. 2 foul balls couldn't be caught. Manny eventually keeping one fair for the home run. That was quite the battle. I don't think I've ever seen that. 2 right?
I have.
Same
but
baby.
Don Orsillo there on SDPA. Yes, and that was a 1-0 lead. But again, the Cubs won in 10 by a score of 2-1. Elsewhere, the Athletics pounded the White Sox by a score of 12-3.
And this one into right field. The ball's going and gone. Tyler Soderstrom leads the major leagues with 7 homers, and it is 3-0 A's.
I can't. It's fucking annoying. Athletics still win 12-3. Just I can't. It's nails on a chalkboard to me. I can't do it. Meanwhile, your Philadelphia Phillies got back on track last night, Angel.
That is a towering fly ball to deep right field. Yastrzemski is back. It is gone! It carried on out of the yard. 2-run home run for Harper. And the Phillies have added to the lead. It's now 6-3.
He gets a little cutter that stays in the middle of the plate just enough for Harper to get some pretty good wood on it. He towers to right field and just carries out of the ballpark.
He said wood. Did you see the wind last night? I don't know if you saw the pregame. I was watching it. Holy shit. It was like 50-mile-an-hour gusts that were coming in. I saw this video of this fan taking and the flags were I thought they're going to come flying off. It was crazy.
It's almost like the same way around here. We've had some crazy freaking high winds. By the way, Bob says happy birthday to Bill Belichick.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Thanks, Bob. Happy birthday to Belichick. And a few of my other friends have birthdays today. Yankees were down 2-0 early, but then they took the lead and won on Kansas City.
And the 1-2. Line drive. It's a base hit down the left field line. Chisholm scores. Volpe scores. Wells scores. It's a bases clearing double for Dominguez. And the Yankees have taken a 4-2 lead.
I think you've seen Dominguez kind of blossom into what he's supposed to be in this series, in this homestand, defensively and offensively. Hit so hard he knocked his helmet off, but a huge hit to come through in a big situation.
Yeah, Yankees go on to win by a score of 4-2. Toronto and Atlanta went at it yesterday as well. Anthony Santander with the big blast in the bottom of the fifth.
And he hits it a long way to right field. And way out of here. This is what they have been waiting for. 2 home runs in the inning, a 2-run shot for Alan Rodin, and a 3-run blast for Anthony Santander.
All right, thanks to Sportnet there. Toronto doubles up Atlanta 6-3. Milwaukee blanked Detroit 5-0. But here's an interesting way to get an out.
There's a ground ball. Torkelson spins it to second and hits the runner and bounces into the glove of Sweeney for the out. Somehow, some way, that piece of popcorn ends up in the hopper and into Sweeney's glove.
Bill Butterback. I've never seen that in my entire life.
You're kidding me.
I mean, he squares him up in the back, right at the right shoulder. Sweeney stays with it, stretch its extension, foot on the bag, and that is one of the coolest plays you'll ever see in a baseball game.
Yep, except they didn't score. Milwaukee blanked them 5-0. Minnesota doubled up the Mets. Brooks Lee in the bottom of the 7th.
Lee with a swing and a drive into right and deep. Back it goes and gone. Well, that left-handed swing looks pretty good now. And the Twins with one swing regain a 3-run lead at 6-3 here in the 7th.
That would be the final there, 6-3. The Twins win. Juan Soto also had a solo shot in that game that tied the score at 2 at the time in the top of the 5th. Houston blanked St. Louis 2-0. It was no score until the top of the 8th.
That ball hit the center straight away. Yordan tags it, going back and looking up. It's gone. Yordan Alvarez hits one out to the batter's eye in straightaway center field. Home run number 2 on the season.
I was close. 419 feet.
Almost called it by the foot plumber. The big man crushes one to center and gives the Astros a 2-0 lead.
That would be it. 2-0 was the final. Yesterday, of course, was Jackie Robinson Day. That's why everybody was wearing number 42. Great day every single year, especially in Los Angeles. They had a pregame tradition, Jackie Robinson Day. They featured Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. But as the game got going, the Dodgers took control. Will Smith in the bottom of the 3rd.
Will Smith with 2 on and 1 out. Runners lead, big lead at first for Freeman. There's a swing and a drive left field. This ball's deep and carrying. Veen back to the wall. He looks up and is gone. A home run. Will Smith with a 3-run shot, and the Dodgers lead it 4-0. Second home run of the season for Will Smith, as he just hammered this one out to the right of the bullpen into the first row of the home run seats.
That's my buddy Tim Neverett. That's why I make fun of him, because he used to call the Red Sox games as well. And New Hampshire native, who's now doing a great job with the LA Dodgers at 570 AM LA Sports. And he will be a guest on the program sometime very soon. Arizona over Miami by a score of 10-4. Cincinnati doubles up Seattle 8-4. Cleveland over Baltimore 6-3. In that one, Washington blanked Pittsburgh 3-0. And the Texas Rangers beat the LA Angels by a score of 4-0 as well. If we could, Angel, want to scroll down, getting back to the Red Sox win, and Alex Bregman going 5 for 5 in this one. If we could get to him, I have him being interviewed on NESN after. It's down a little bit. It's on NESN again with Jemai Webster. You'll see it on NESN. Alex Bregman with him. There you go.
All right, thank you very much, Adam. Well, last night Alex said that the team wasn't prepared, and he put that on him. How much did that inspire the group to come out here and play to your standards?
Well, I think everyone did a really good job of being convicted in their approach today at the plate. I think Buell's battled, gave us everything he had, pitched really well. Kelly picked up 2 2/3 big innings, and then Chappie came in and got the save. I think guys did a really good job preparing before the game, and was very pleased with the effort all around. I think Raffy got us going with that linear in the gap to start it off, and then Jaron had a big oppo homer. So those things got some momentum going. It was good to see everybody fired up, and look forward to continuing that.
Yeah, along those lines, first time this season that the offense had scored in 4 consecutive innings, including those extra base hits from those top 3 hitters in the order, as you mentioned, Jaron, Raffy, and yourself. How potent can this offense be when you guys are going with contributions like that?
It can be extremely potent. I thought they were great at bats all the way through the entire lineup today, too. Cassis hit the ball three times, like 110, so that was great to see. A lot of the guys put together good at bats today and really had a good plan going into the game, and I think the guys did a great job.
Triple short of the cycle for you, 7th career multi-home run game, first time in your career that you're going 5 for 5. Do you feel like offensively this is a night that your approach was able to come through with something like this?
Yeah, it felt good. Obviously, a lot of hard work before the game in the cage. Dylan and Pete and I were talking about and Rosie were talking about a few things with my swing, and it paid off today, so I'm super thankful for them.
All right, Alex, thanks so much, man. Keep it going.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Bregman, 5 for 5 for RBI. Red Sox get back on track. Still a couple of games behind the Toronto, I think, for first place. But it's so early. Like I said, Memorial Day, we'll get a much better feel, but that makes me feel a little bit better after the debacle that happened on Monday when they got absolutely humiliated 16-1, and it just did not look ready to go. All right, let's turn to the NBA. The playoffs are getting closer and closer. Well, the play-in games, a couple of them happened last night. We'll give you a couple highlights there and then tell you what the most recent scenario is. As soon as I went by it again. I need an extra set of hands, but wouldn't that be fun? Especially at the, what do you call it? What we were just talking about? At
The Villages?
The Villages, yeah. Anyway, all right. Orlando wins 120-95. Trae Young got ejected. We'll get to that in a second. Here's the one and only Paolo Banchero.
Comes up short. Banchero shakes his head no.
Magic have numbers.
12-point Magic lead. Banchero, another and one.
He loves this right to left spin. Probably his signature move.
Yeah, it's got. I want Jeff Van Gundy Steve Van Gundy, I just don't care for. Anyway, Trae Young got ejected in the fourth quarter with the score 107-87 Orlando.
And that's their 7th combined 3.
Oh, Young goes between Carter's legs and scores it. Wendell Carter knows he's going to be in a highlight. And that's a tee. Yeah, Cole Anthony. What a performance. And now a second technical, and Trae Young snatches the ball from Pat Frail. That's going to cost him some money there. He ball faked him, shot faked him, and Young's been ejected. Young already had one tee. Kicks the ball, prevents it from going to the official. And then refused to give it to him and got hit with a second tee, and he's out.
Frustrating night all around.
Yeah, it was. And Trae Young explains his frustrations after the game.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's one game. I'm not letting it dwindle. I'm not letting people think about what I'm feeling and things like that. Obviously, I told them I was sticking up for the squad, and I'm not gonna let the refs frustrate me like that in our next game. I know we got a winner go home next, so I'm gonna be ready. And I told the team I'm gonna be ready for them. We got to go home and take care of business.
Hey, Trae. Obviously not the outcome you wanted, but just what can you take from this game? Because you guys don't have much time to dwell on this one. What can you take from this, positive or negative, and go to the next game?
Yeah, I mean, you take away the positive in that third quarter, the way we fought, the way we got into the game, the way we got back into it. I think the aggressiveness that we had and the force we had on the offensive end, like when we caught the ball, we knew what we wanted to do and was very, very decisive on what we wanted to do. So I think that's something that we can take going into the next game and try to do it for 4 quarters.
All right, Trae Young. Angel, if we could scroll down, I'm going to play this video, then we'll get to the other game. By the way, the Hawks will get a home game. They'll play either the Heat or the Bulls, the loser of that game, going on tonight. And we'll get to Golden State. The loser of the Mavs-Kings game tonight will play at Memphis for the 8th seed. So, and then we'll update the playoff scenario as we know right now. So, NBA on TNT, this is at halftime or the end of the game or halftime when Orlando was blowing out Atlanta. And Chuck, it's right under, you see, it's like 3 under the show. It's right under the hockey one. NBA is Shaq versus Chuck is the headline. So Shaq tries to revive the Atlanta Hawks with a mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. Somehow the Hulk got involved in this as well. Here we go.
Oh, boy. By the way, Jerry says, he texted and said, Pete, I know I've said it before. I've always been a baseball guy first. In your MLB rundown, it is far or the best I've ever heard.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate that. Well, no one else in the media really does it, but I know there's a lot of baseball fans out there. I'm a baseball fan, so I try to give you the best highlights, as always.
Speaking of shout-outs. Okay, very good shout-out. Shout him out. He's a cousin of yours? Yes. Yeah. 67.
That's your own son.
But all we do is win.
Really? Yeah.
Yep, and all we do is win. See, you don't know nothing about that. You see that?
If I had Kobe and Dwayne Wade, I'd have won.
67-55. And I still That's your got halftime score. Yeah, I tried. I
I
tried. Harry, come back.
Oh, my gosh.
I tried, Harry.
You done kissed some chicken heads in your day, too.
That might be your funniest line. The big man had no comeback.
He is on the ropes.
Referee stops contest. We'll be back.
Oh, that's a meme. That is a meme.
Speaking of shout-outs.
Oh man, absolutely. That's creepy. Shaq giving mouth to mouth to the Atlanta Hawk mascot. A little creepy. No question about it. Real quick, Golden State holds off Memphis 121 to 116. Steph Curry, of course.
It's Curry off a screen, fakes, fires, stuck it!
Stop it!
He just stuck it! Timeout!
Oh my God! Yeah, Steph Curry, another nice name for another nice game for him. Jimmy Butler after the game as well also had a pretty good game. I'm being Steph's Robin to his Batman.
I think any team has a chance when I'm on the team, but I know that every team has a chance if Steph's on the team. So I get to play Robin. That's my Batman, and I don't know who else is. We got all the villains over there, Two-Face and Joker and Riddler, everybody else in the Western Conference. But we got a lot of games to win.
Right.
Okay. Appreciate the reference there, no question about it. And Golden State is in. I think they're going to be a tough out for whoever plays them. There's no question about it. I wish they were playing the Lakers in the first round. We'll get to that in a second. So what we know tonight, the Heat at the Bulls at 7:30, Mavericks at the Kings at 10. Both of those games on ESPN. Friday, as I said, 7 o'clock on TNT. The Heat Bulls loser will go to Atlanta and play in that one. The loser is out. The winner goes to the 8th seed. Same thing with Memphis and the Kings. The loser of that game tonight will play at Memphis at 9:30 on ESPN on Friday night. Now we move to Saturday, and the Bucks and the Pacers, 1 o'clock on ESPN. That'll kick it off, followed by, oh man, my nose is really running this morning. I don't know. I think it's because the fan is above me, but it gets stuffy in my office sometimes. I keep the door shut.
Right.
But anyway, 3:30 Clippers at the Nuggets. That's on ESPN. This is all Saturday. At 6 o'clock, the Pistons are at the Knicks. 6 o'clock on ESPN. At 8:30 on ABC, the Minnesota Timberwolves are at the Lakers, and I'm still picking the Timberwolves too with the upset. Now we move on to Sunday. Here's what we know right now: the Magic and the Celtics. Actually, the first game is at 1 o'clock. It'll be either Memphis, the Mavs, or the Kings. One of those three teams will be playing at Oklahoma City. That's at 1 o'clock on ABC. At 3:30 on ABC, you've got the Magic at the Celtics, game one from the Garden there. Then at 7 o'clock at night on TNT, you've got whoever wins the East, which it could be either Atlanta or the 8th seed in the East, Atlanta, the Bulls, or the Heat. One of those three will be at Cleveland at 7 o'clock on TNT. And then at 9:30, the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets, and that should be one hell of a series. I expect that one to go the distance. And then after that, there's no other schedule out there for the NBA. So there you are, completely up to date. When we come back, we've got more TNT shenanigans from last night, plus a lot of NFL news to tell you about as well. Some great guests coming up today. Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune at 8:05. At 8:30, Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald and senior betting analyst from bookies.com. And at 9:08, yes, 9:08, that's what you told me, Mia O'Brien up at 1010XL in Jacksonville, one of the best, not only Jaguars insiders, but NFL insiders. She's terrific. She joins me at 9:08 this morning. All part of the Pete Sheppard Show here on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody, it's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hey, Dad, your prescription will be ready in just a minute. Hey, Dad, your laundry will be ready in just a minute. Dad, your lunch will be ready in just a minute.
Hey, honey, why don't you take a minute?
When you help care for a loved one, you give them as much time as you can, making sure they're safe and comfortable. But it's just as important that you take some time for yourself. At AARP, we can help with information and useful tips on how you can maintain a healthy life balance, care for your own physical and mental well-being, and manage the challenges of caring for a loved one. Because the better care you take of yourself, the better care you can provide for your loved one.
Thanks, Dad.
Thank you.
You're there for them. We're here for you. Find free care guides to support you and your loved one at aarp.org/caregiving. That's aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
All right, class. Let's hear what everyone did this weekend. Jill?
Well, I raised my older sister to a big oak tree. It was at least 100 years old. My mom said I must have set a record or something. And then we went down by a stream and perched up on this huge rock and saw all of these little minnows swimming around way below us. And then I rescued my little brother from an evil slug king who was guarding him at the bush fortress. And my sister and I brought him back to our super twig fort for safety. And then we all laid out and told stories until it got dark. And the Big Dipper led us all the way home. Wow. Awesome. Where were you, Jill? Yeah. We went to the forest. It's not that far away. Anyone want to come this weekend?
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week and find the fun, adventurous you. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
To an end last night at home against New Jersey.
Go. Meyer spins off for Eric Holla. Mercer, full head of steam, enters the zone, drops it back to Brian Dumoulin, down Broadway, he shoots, he scores! Brian Dumoulin's first Devils goal is an overtime winner.
You're going to need, Bill, some unlikely sources to score big goals come playoff time, and Dumoulin with a wicked wrist shot wins it in overtime for the Devils. Matthew Mercer there, the nice drop pass.
Yeah, season came to a merciful end for the Bruins. They finished 33, 39, and 10. David Pastrnak, though, had an MVP-type season. The goal and an assist for the Bruins led the team with 106 points. His third straight 100-point season. Jeremy Swayman stopped 21 shots for the Bees, who finished with the worst record in the Atlantic Division and could possibly finish with the worst record in the Eastern Conference. Toronto blanked Buffalo 4-0. Austin Matthews with his 400th career goal in the third.
Lines locked. 2-on-1 with Marner. Empty net. Mitch Marner looking for Matthews for 400. That's broken up. Now Matthews back with it. Wines in. Matthews shoots. Scores! Austin Matthews, 400 career goals. A milestone night for the Leafs.
Oh, yes, it was. Thanks there to TSN. And, Angel, if we could scroll down, the Toronto Maple Leafs have clinched basically the number 2 seed in the Eastern Conference. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, as Bill Murray said in Meatballs. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. Because I think right now they would end up playing New Jersey if the playoffs started today. Yeah, I'm sure. New Jersey. The perfect team to send the Toronto Maple Leaf packing again in the first round, which is more likely than not that it's going to happen. So if we could scroll down to my buddy Paul Bissonnette, who's delusional every year about the Maple Leafs. It's just comical. You can't even make fun of him anymore. It's right under the show. Here's Paul Bissonnette, Atlantic Division champions, the Toronto Maple Leafs, yada, 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 whoop-de-freaking-do. And here's his ridiculous prediction.
Feels good. Feels real good. Oh, you Sens fans in my mention. I'm going to be bookmarking every one of your fucking tweets. It's going to be a fucking shellacking. It ain't going 7. It might not even go 6. Leafs in 5. That's my prediction. Leafs in 5. Oh, it's going to be glorious. It's going to be glorious. And then we're going to watch Florida and Tampa just kick the shit out of each other, waste all their energy. And for what? To get beat by the Leafs on the way to their first Stanley Cup since 1967. It's all lining up, all of it. Hockey Illuminati, give it to me. Give me all the stats. It's happening. It's fucking happening. It's our year. It's our year.
Again?
Last year.
I mean, it's just the same thing. And I know Mick Elijah and I talk about this all the time. The Toronto Maple Leafs are like the Red Sox before 2004. The fans are like that. I mean, they've lost in every dramatic way possible, many times to the Bruins in first-round series. And it's going to be no different. Until they prove me wrong, it'll be no different. I'll take Ottawa in that series. If you're a betting man, take Ottawa in that series. The Senators are a damn good team anyway. They're a good hockey team. They finished 6-2-2 in their last 10. That's a good team. That's a good team. They went 44-30-7 on the year. I'm telling you, they will give Toronto all they can handle, and more likely than not, the Maple Leafs will be going home again in the first round. No doubt about it. All right. I wanted to play one more thing here from the NBA. Okay. Before we let's scroll down to TNT. And then we're going to get into some NFL before the top of the hour. NBA on TNT, hard for who? Shaq's reaction to Chuck's repeat champions take is pure comedy right here. This is absolutely hysterical.
What? Man, the Celtics go kill the Magic.
Really?
Yeah.
Kill them?
Yeah.
Sweep.
Yeah.
Sweep. Gentleman sweep.
Gentleman sweep.
All right.
The Celtics. Number one, the thing with Jaylen Brown concerns me a little bit. Him taking injections in his knee.
But the Celtics, man, they're playing for a history now. They're trying to get back-to-back, which is probably one of the hardest things to do in sports. They're on a mission. They're on a mission.
You're so petty, man.
Hard
Why
for
you
who?
look at me like that, man?
Not hard for me and you.
Well, I mean, we've been part of teams that have gone back to back.
I even got a 3.
It might have been hard for you to get to the one.
Yeah.
Wow.
But,
hey,
and you
once
know what?
you win one, it's actually pretty easy to get the second one. Honestly. What you say?
Chuckster, yes.
Chuckster,
you brought it up, man. I mean, that's just
I'm going to say this hard when you got two guys sitting right here.
What do you expect them to do?
That doesn't bother me.
One of the hardest things to do in sports.
It's hard to do.
These two guys have done it.
Okay.
I mean, listen. I mean, those are two different animals right there.
Okay.
Boy, Jack only got to conference finals, never got to the championship, or didn't win the championship.
Nope.
Got there 1 year, I believe, with Phoenix, if I remember correctly. Anyway, all right, what is going on with the Giants and Shedeur Sanders? All sorts of stuff, the workouts and everything else. Here, try to explain and get Ryan Clark, who had a pathetic take, by the way, with the situation in Tennessee and tried to throw Mario Cristobal under the bus by saying he was partly responsible for all the money that he gave to Carson Beck, which couldn't be any further from the truth. But besides that, when he's not, it just tells you that some of these NFL people, they just don't watch enough college football. It's plain and simple. It's so evident to me. But here's Ryan Clark and Jeff Darlington. They do know something about the NFL. They try to, and here's a situation with Shedeur Sanders and the Giants.
I need to get to know you this well if I want to move back up into the first round. I need to get to know you this well if I want to draft you third overall. If the last quarterback I drafted in the top 10 ended up being a bust and is no longer on the team, if my job depends on how well we do this season or how well or how much I can show you from a young developing quarterback, then that's why I want to get to know you this well. I don't think I need to know you more than I've gotten to know you. We heard Peter Schrager say we had people at games. They had 13 people in contingent. He went out to damn dinner. He's been there for meetings. He had a top 30 visit. I don't need to go back and really check and dot more I's and cross more T's if I'm going to move back up into the first round. But if I'm going to draft you third overall, if I'm going to pass up on an Abdul Carter or a Travis Hunter, if they're there at 3, 2 people that we feel like are can't miss positional players to draft a quarterback, that's why I need to get to know you. That's why I need some intimacy. That's why I need to know what type of human you are, what type of leader you are. That's why I need to see a little bit more than what I saw at Pro Day in your controlled environment. And so for me, this is about number 3. This is about drafting the guy top 3, drafting the guy 3 overall, because I want to be absolutely sure that as I stake my job on you, you're the guy I need to pick.
I kind of feel the same way, but it just flies in the face of everything that we've been told. Jeff, you look ready to dive in. Go.
Sometimes general managers will do this because they want to make sure that they should pass on a guy. Like the Giants might be sitting here saying, we're not taking Sanders at 3. Are we sure that is the right play? So sometimes it's not about getting to know a guy so you take him. Sometimes it's about getting to know a guy so you don't.
The plot thickens. Go ahead,
Which
RC.
is fine. Which is fine, though. And that's fine. But what I'm telling you is it's about the third pick. This isn't about something down the line. This isn't about a maybe. This isn't about, okay, I don't know if something happens if they pass on him. This is about that pick because that pick is that important. And you're right, Jeff. You can't be wrong if you're the New York Giants. If your mind is saying we're not going to draft him, you can't be wrong about that either. Because Joe Shane or Brian Daboll could be out of a job if Russell or Jameis doesn't do the job this year. And if Shedeur is picked at 9 and becomes the rookie of the year, that's a mistake that this group of individuals cannot afford.
No, I totally agree. And those guys, Daboll and Shine, shouldn't even kept them. It's absolutely ridiculous that they did. Because, I'm telling you, if they draft Shedeur Sanders, to me, that is a gigantic mistake. But like like they said, Jeff Darlington said, maybe they're doing it as a process of elimination. Now, if we could scroll down a little bit, Angel, to the Pat McAfee show and more analysis with Shedeur Sanders and Pete Traeger talking about Sanders, and had a really good meeting with Pittsburgh that lasted 5 hours as well.
Oh, boy.
Let's go kill the Magic.
Really?
Yeah.
Kill him?
Yeah.
Sweep.
Yeah.
Sweep. Gentleman sweep.
Gentleman sweep.
All right.
The Celtics. Number one, the thing.
Go figure. Two things want to play at once.
That's all right.
Shregs, yeah, we're all going to be watching to see what happens with Shedeur. Have you heard, is there any kind of like basement of where, like, hey, if he gets to this point, someone's definitely going to take him? Is there a number? We've seen if the Steelers find him at 21, they would take him. Like, do you have any idea on what the basement for him could be, of where he could go?
No. And here's the thing. He had a really good meeting with Pittsburgh last week, and that lasted like 5 hours. And he met with Arthur Smith. He met with Mike Tomlin. He went around the facility. So, like, that to me seems like a good backstop. Like, at worst comes to worst for Shedeur, like 21 would be a really nice place for him to go. It would be a really good situation considering the weapons, the organization, the culture, the city, of course, that you guys know so well. But, you know, the Giants are going to this private workout, and Schefter broke that news last night. This is not just window dressing. Here's the deal. The Giants had 13 different people at his pro day. So if you had it wasn't just two of them, 13. They had him in for a top 30 visit. Then they took him out to dinner. Joe Shane himself went to multiple Shedeur Sanders games this year. Joe Shane went to a Shedeur Sanders practice at Colorado. So this isn't a player they're unfamiliar with. So when you tell me they're going for another private workout, it's more than just due diligence. This is, we are going to make sure if he is our quarterback, we are 100% certain that this is the guy we love. But that doesn't mean he's going 3 to the Giants. What that could mean is the Giants get Abdul Carter out of Penn State, number 3. And then if Shedeur starts slipping out of the top 10, out of the teens, maybe that's when they pull the trigger and they say, you know what? We really feel comfortable with this guy as our quarterback. We might not want him at 3, but we like him at 15, 16, 17 in that range.
Okay, very fascinating on the quarterback conversation. Shedeur obviously going to be chatted about because of his family, because of everything he was able to accomplish at 2 different schools, but a lot of attention to 2 different schools. Now he's getting his jersey retired at Colorado. Everybody's real pumped up about it on the internet. Sounds like everybody's excited for him. I will say congrats. Anytime we get your jersey retired, that means something magical had to have happened, and he sold that building out.
Yeah, well, we'll see. And as far as him falling to 21, that would be the ultimate shock. I mean, of course, we saw Aaron Rodgers fall in the draft too back in the day, and several other players. But I don't know how he gets past 9 by the Saints, if indeed the Giants do not take him. And as far as endorsements go and all that, I don't think you need to be in New York or Philly or Boston or Los Angeles to get endorsements anymore. I think, those days are gone. He's going to get the endorsements no matter Shedeur Sanders, because a lot of it because of him and a lot of it because of his dad and his family background. So no matter where he is, I don't know, maybe getting in New York will make it a little bit easier for him. I don't know. Sure as hell going to pay a hell of a lot more taxes, that's for sure. But it is going to be interesting to see what the Giants do. I don't think the Giants are going to draft him. But, I'm telling you, after the first round pick by Tennessee, taking Cam Ward out of Miami, I don't know. It's a very, very tough draft to predict because of possible trades. I mean, everybody right now is saying Travis Hunter's going to Cleveland. I'm not entirely sure about that. If they don't make a trade, there is a proposed trade. I brought this up with somebody last week about the Cleveland Browns wanting Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, somehow making a deal to try to make that happen. I don't think that's impossible either. And then there's still flaky boys out there. Aaron Rodgers. Nobody knows what the hell is going on with him. Nobody. Unless this is a ruse by the Steelers that he's been their guy alone, but I don't know why this is taking so long. So we had a 5-hour meeting with Shedeur Sanders, the Rooney family did, in the Pittsburgh organization, and they had a 6-hour meeting with Aaron Rodgers last month, and none of it, I don't know. I do not know. Maybe the Steelers would try to make a big move for Shedeur Sanders. They'd have to be a pretty big one, probably involving Watt in a trade if they were to move up from 21. could be interesting. I don't know. It is an absolute fascinating draft. I cannot wait for the 24th. That's in 8 days. By the way, now the Miami Dolphins finally, but still nothing from Charlie Brown. Mike McDaniel has been silent, absolutely silent. It's pissing me off. But nevertheless, the Miami Dolphins looking to trade 3-time All-Pro cornerback Jalen Ramsey. This came out right after we got off the show yesterday. Chris Greer said that during a news conference, and here's Adam Schefter on NFL Live breaking it down.
Okay, Adam, what more can you tell us about what's going on in Miami?
Well, Laura, you heard Chris Greer refer to the ongoing conversations that have taken place between Jalen Ramsey and the organization. The organization has been in a position where it has felt like it is in the best interest of the Dolphins, and Jalen Ramsey feels like it's in his best interest for both sides to part ways. And so that's coming. The only question is how it's going to be handled and how it's going to come down. The Dolphins obviously would like to get something back, but there's the issue of money, which is always a case in situations like this. Jalen Ramsey's due over $25 million for the coming season. The Dolphins already have paid him a $4 million roster bonus. So any team that takes on a Jalen Ramsey trade obviously would like to restructure that contract. So there's the question of whether that would happen. But today, Chris Greer made it clear that the two sides are going their own ways. Jalen Ramsey is expected to have a new home, and the Miami Dolphins are going to have to lean on a former high pick, Cam Smith, to try to step in, step up, and help become the type of player that they envisioned he would become.
Yeah, and that's a big vision because that guy has not lived up to expectations. He's played mostly special teams. He is not the best defender for as high as he was picked. So, the Dolphins could be in a little bit of trouble here in defensive backfield. Going to be really, really interesting with some of the numbers that I had too. Again, Cam Smith, who played just 6 games last year, he hardly played as a rookie back in 2023, logging snaps mostly on special teams. And Greer said that he's 24 now, and he needs to take a step forward this year. There's no question about it. Now, Miami owns the 13th pick in this year's draft and 10 total draft picks. Greer said he's willing to trade down if the right deal presents itself. And one offer he is not pursuing, he said, is trading involving wide receiver Tyreek Hill. But Greer said he'd consider doing so if he were offered 2 first-round picks. Yeah, and a bail bondsman to go along with that. All right. We're going to talk more NFL coming up in just a minute here after a quick break here with the Eagle Tribune's Bill Burr. Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts is New England's place to buy or sell the finest in sports memorabilia. For over 35 years, Sports World has offered the finest in sports collectibles. So get on down there to Phil Castanetti, Sports World in Saugus at 184 Broadway. Call 781-233-7222 for more information. Sports World in Saugus, Massachusetts. Be there. Quick break. Bill Burr, Eagle Tribune, NFL. Next, here, Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com. Or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Right now, our country feels divided, but there's a place where people are coming together.
I gotta tell you, I was nervous to talk to someone so different than me.
Me too, but I'm glad we are.
Love Has No Labels and One Small Step are helping people with different political views, beliefs, and life experiences come together through conversation, and it feels good.
Wow, your story is so...
Interesting?
Yeah.
When people actually sit down, talk, and listen to one another, they can break down boundaries and connect as human beings. At lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep, you can listen to amazing, life-changing conversations and find simple tools to start a conversation of your own.
I know one thing. This conversation gives me hope.
It gives me a lot of hope, too.
Take a step toward bringing our country and your community together by having the courage to start a conversation at lovehasnolabels.com/onesmallstep. A message from StoryCorps, Love Has No Labels, and the Ad Council.
People do some pretty cool things in their 40s and 50s. Why should saving for retirement be any different? I mean, they go back to college, learn new instruments, start skateboarding. Whoa! Okay, maybe that one's not for everybody, but saving for retirement is. With aceyourretirement.org, you can get on track with your retirement savings no matter your age. Just have a 3-minute chat with Avo, the friendly digital retirement coach from AARP. You'll get personalized recommendations based on your input that are easy to understand and work with your lifestyle. It's quick, easy, and free. Plus, it's sponsored by AARP, so you know they got your back.
Woohoo! Gnarly move, Dad.
Thanks, sweetie.
So wherever you are in your retirement savings journey, head to aceyourretirement.org and start chatting with Avo today. That's aceyourretirement.org. A message from AARP and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying, totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad, just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
The Pete Sheppard Show. It's fun for the whole family. If it's dysfunctional.
Should have pulled it out. Butler with the move. Green. Curry. 3. Good!
Kevin Harlan. Gotta love him. One of my faves in the biz. No question about it. Steph Curry. Another good game for him. Golden State advances, survive and advance, and they move on in the NBA playoffs, and they will be taking on the Houston Rockets in what should be a great series, great 7-game series. Celtics will be taking on the Orlando Magic. That'll be Easter Sunday, game number 1 at the Garden at 3:30 p.m. Anyway, welcome back to the Pete Sheppard Show. It's hour number 2. Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune going to join us momentarily here on the Pete Sheppard Show. Thanks for checking us out across the video platform. Following me on Twitter and X at PeteSheppard326, on our Facebook pages, on YouTube, Kick, Rumble, CSN Florida, LinkedIn. Call or text the show 727-858-6650. We've gone through a whole lot. Going to talk a lot of NFL. the rest of the way here. Bill Burt now coming up from the Eagle Tribune. Bill Sparrows, we'll talk a whole bunch of stuff with him, as always. Fascinating gentleman, fascinating. At the bottom of the hour from the Boston Herald and Bookies.com senior betting analyst. And then OB will join me from Planet Duval a little bit later on at 9:05, Mia O'Brien. Real quick, before we get to Bill Burt, Angel, because I want to get this in. This is too funny. If we go down to Susie Rizzio, so if you don't know who she is, she's got a lot of followers. I don't know. She came up with this observation. I forgot about Katy Perry and a bunch of women going for a, quote unquote a ride. If you see it, Angel, it's right under my David Pasternak video. But yeah, just listen to this. And Bill Burt, I'll get to you in a second. Check this out. This is why people hate celebrities in so many different ways. But listen to the torrential flood of illogic here. Here we go.
Implicate that and understand that we weren't just taking up space, we were making space.
Just when you thought that Katy Perry was the most insufferable of the 6 women that went to space, Gayle King said, bitch, hold my beer. Her whole interview with Extra was bad, but I'm just going to show you like my favorite parts.
I don't like that people are calling it a ride. A ride, you never see a male astronaut who's going up in space and they said, oh, he took a ride.
Like, this has nothing to do with feminism. Like, don't try to make it about feminism. It has nothing to do with the fact that you're women. It has to do with the fact that you guys took a ride. You didn't actually do anything. The flight to space was all remote. You didn't push any buttons or move any levers. You took a ride. If I get on a roller coaster, I say I took a ride on a roller coaster. I don't say I operated a roller coaster. I didn't operate it. I just got on. Which is exactly what you did, Gail.
We actually duplicated the route that Alan Sheppard did.
If I got into a self-driving car that was called the Mario Andretti 2 and I did a couple laps around the fucking Indy 500, that doesn't mean that I am a race car driver. It doesn't mean that I did the same thing that Mario Andretti did. Gail!
2 of the astronauts, I still have a hard time calling myself an astronaut.
As you should, Gail. You're not an astronaut. You were a passenger princess, Gail.
The young girls in particular. But it's not just the young girls. We're also encouraging, the boys look at it and see what women and young girls can do.
If they have a shit ton of money and connections. There, I finished that sentence for you, Gail. This next little part right here was my favorite part of the interview.
And then my question is, have y'all been to space?
No, Gail, I sure haven't, and I likely never will. Because I don't have connections like that, and I don't have $1 million to spend going up to space for 11 fucking minutes. Is that not the most out-of-touch thing to say? Like, Gail, what?
I'm not going to let people steal my joy and steal the joy of what we did or what we accomplished that day.
And I'm being totally serious. Like, in all seriousness, what did they accomplish? What was this mission that they were on? Like, what was the point? Gail didn't so much as push a fucking button or switch a switch. Like, what did you accomplish, Gail? What did you and Lauren Sanchez and Katy Perry accomplish? Quickly.
Anyway, just these people are a joke. It's just, you wonder how they get up and function on a daily basis. Anyway.
Even to mention that he took the same route as Alan Sheppard. Come on, you guys, stop it.
Come on. Jeez. Even Bill Shatner, when he went up his little the thingy there, even he didn't go all Star Trek on us. Come on. These people are a joke. Anyway, someone who's not delusional and not a joke, but likes to tell jokes, is the one and only Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune joining us here. Hello, Bill. Good morning. How are you?
How you guys doing? How are you guys doing? Good.
I was asked by somebody on Facebook the other day that when you were on today to ask if you still had the scooter, a.k.a. the Vespa, that we used to kid around with you back in the day.
Kid around? Is it kid around? Is that the word you're going to use? You sound like the space, like you're like an astronaut. You guys you beat the crap out of me for 10 years.
That was Glenn. Yes. That was Glenn.
Pete,
it wasn't me.
Pete, I'm driving it to work today.
Get out.
Yep.
But that's only a couple miles, right? It's not like you're going on the highway with it.
It's 5 miles. Well, okay. So, Pete,
but you only go 40 miles an hour, right? It doesn't go.
So I can get it to go into 55, but I can go on the secondary roads. I just can't go on a highway. And I did it one time. I pulled up to Fenway. I drove to Fenway, the back roads from North Andover, and Ordway was in the glass room, the wall, and he almost pooped his pants.
Yeah, I remember that was unbelievable. That was unbelievable.
I still ride it. Yes, and I'm going to take it today to work.
I love it. Hey, I don't blame you. It's easy to park, right?
Pete. It's 100 miles a gallon. I mean, come on. I'm just. It's very easy to park. I can park
You're
anywhere.
about the economy. You're saving. You're an economy. I mean, you're doing. You've gone green. It's great. Next thing you know, you have a Tesla.
I'm a climate change guy. Yeah, right.
You are. Well, that's exactly. We've always been that way.
Yeah, right.
Been that way. We'll get to the Patriots in a second. I think. I want to know how you feel about this draft. I am fascinated beyond belief, almost more so than a few years ago when all the quarterbacks, when Baker got drafted, when all that slew of quarterbacks went. I think this is even more fascinating because seriously, after the number one pick of Cam Ward going to Tennessee, I don't know who to believe. I don't know if there's anything to believe. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know who knows anything. I don't know what the Browns are going to do. I don't know what the Giants are going to do. Deion Sanders' influence on Shadur Sanders his son is going to be really interesting. Flaky boy Aaron Rodgers is still out there lurking in some sort of a nexus. What can you make any sense of this? If you heard anything, and especially with the Giants and Sanders, or Pittsburgh and Sanders, or Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers, I got a popsicle headache trying to think about it, but in a good way.
I honestly think it's going to go as planned, and as planned. So I think Hunter's going to go second. I think that's a done deal. I know there's some talk today about Hunter wanting to play, saying if anyone drafts him, and that was they said a sort of a slight towards Cleveland. I don't think so. Second pick overall, he's going to go to Cleveland. It's the Giants or the team, because the Giants affect the Patriots.
Yep.
If the Giants take Abdul Carter, and I'm only going on. I don't have him. I don't watch enough film. In fact, Pete, no one listening here watches enough film to actually say this guy is the next Micah Parsons, or he's grades somewhere close to him. In my opinion, if someone thinks with New England he's the next Micah Parsons, they should be looking to trade up to the third or second pick to guarantee getting him. That being said, there's no one there for the Patriots at 4 if Abdul Carter, in my opinion, because I think he's probably the guy that's graded that way. There's no one there that the Patriots would want to draft with the 4th overall spot, which brings in Shadur Sanders, some team, whether it's the Raiders, whether it's, in my opinion, New Orleans. And I think there is a market for Sanders, and all it's got to be is 2 or 3 teams. And I think that's what it's going to be. And Pittsburgh could be a team as well. They're going to have to pay for that 4th pick. And that's where the Patriots could get some great capital, because I believe, and I was at a press conference yesterday with Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
Vrabel's intimated that there's not a bunch, but there's a few starting left tackles in this draft, meaning that I just don't think you draft a left tackle with the 4th pick overall unless you think he's going to be one of the all-time greats. That's the 4th pick overall is a game changer. A game-changing person, and that's quote unquote Abdul Carter. Maybe it's a wide receiver. I just don't think there's a 4th pick overall in the Patriots' eyes that makes them stay where they are.
You don't like the possibility of Will Campbell out of LSU, and I know the big thing is with
I don't
Alligator.
like it, Pete.
He can play.
He can play, Pete. But there's 4 or 5 left tackles, and you can get that guy in the second round, early second round, late first, or whatever. If you trade back, you could even, maybe you think there's one, and you take the second left tackle. You take the guy out of Texas, you draft him with New Orleans pick and the 9th pick, and then you have an extra second pick. Then you package 2 seconds, and you move down back in the first round for a wide receiver or something else. So I just don't think there's much here for the Patriots other than, in my opinion, Abdul Carter.
I don't know. And another kid, I like this kid out of Missouri. I know some people don't, and I don't understand why. Because go look at the film, which I did a couple days ago. A lot of it. I went through a whole bunch of these guys, and not only that, I didn't see a whole lot of. I don't watch a whole lot of Missouri football, but I watch enough to know that Armand Amembu, the offensive tackle, could slide into the left tackle spot. And the stat that blows you away: he started 30 games over his career. You know how many sacks he allowed last year? 1. 1 in the SEC, and I don't care. That's a great stat. That's a great stat. So,
the 4th pick overall.
It's a crapshoot. I think it's a crapshoot. But this guy can never be in the best of all of them.
but the fourth pick overall. So Pete, my point is that, and I go back to, and I think we talked about this before.
No, but before you're not going to get a Will Campbell in the second round. You're not going to get a Amon Membo in the second round. So if you don't get your left tackle and you let those two guys slide, and maybe you luck out. Maybe you're right. Maybe if they make some kind of a deal, something happens in the second. Or we've seen them do very well in the later rounds, second, third, fourth rounds. I get that. All I'm saying is those guys are not going to be there in the second round.
Well, Pete, let's go back to the Patriots' best draft. One of the best drafts they ever had. And I only say that because it was the first two picks. It was 2001. Seymour, 6th overall.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Matt Light in the second round. Yep. Those guys were foundational guys. That's exactly what the Patriots want to do in this draft.
I agree.
That draft.
Yep.
They want to get a disruptor on defense and a left tackle. And if they can do that, so I think that's doable here. If the Giants don't pick Carter, the Patriots take Carter. And then they take a left tackle early second, or they move up late first. Because I'm telling you, what I got from Vrabel yesterday, and look, the experts, the draft gurus are saying there's about 5 possible. They're not all going to get drafted in the first round, but 5 first-round left tackles. And you need look. Matt Light was not a Hall of Famer. Matt Light was very good. Yeah. He's a Patriots Hall of Famer, but Matt Light was very good, and he was there for 11 years. Pete, he had one a year where he was injured. That's what the Patriots need. They don't need a guy out of LSU who's obviously very good, but he's got to be way better than Light to pick him 4th overall.
Yeah, no question. And the thing with Will Campbell is a lot's been made of his sub 33-inch arm length, but
I don't really care about that.
I know that. I think that stuff gets way overplayed.
Look, he's he's got the right. He's got the right makeup. He fights. He works the hardest. He would be a Patriot. I'm not saying he wouldn't be. I'm just saying 4th overall. That's a lot. I just think you could, like, if Sanders is available 4th and Carter's gone, I think the Patriots trade the 4th pick, and then they'll get another first or in 2 seconds or something. They'll get value where then they could also package that and go get the player. So look, I think the Patriots still need a tight end, a young tight end to start developing. They might even need 2 of them, and I think that's where a sleeper position we haven't talked a lot about because of the need at left tackle. But I think tight end, obviously the kid out of Penn State, looks like he's legit and I'm not saying he's Rob Gronkowski, but he's right away a top 7 or 8 tight end, I believe, he comes to the league. And that's what this quarterback needs. He needs, look, we could argue the wide receiver room still isn't really good per se. It's got a 1 and it's got a bunch of 3s and 4s. And the tight ends, both right middle of the road, pretty good. Hunter Henry, I love him.
Yep.
Great guy, great teammate.
He's great.
But he's not he's not one of those game breaker guys. So we'll see. I think the Patriots trade. I think the Giants hold the key to the Patriots draft. What do they do with the 3rd pick? If they draft Shadir Sanders, Patriots draft Carter, and we're done with it.
And I heard, Rich says, draft talk is boring. Let's talk about the firing of Don Sweeney. Don Sweeney's probably not going to get fired. As we talked a lot of hockey yesterday, Richard. Draft talk is not boring, especially this one. I'm sorry. It's the number 1 sport in the country, period, followed by college football, and then you can throw in whatever you want the rest of the way. But Don Sweeney, if he's going to leave, he's going to go probably take over Team Canada. That's what my most reliable source tells me, if indeed they do. So there's the Bruins season ended I'll say it ended on a positive note, even though they lost last night in overtime. Okay, I think they played hard for Joe Sacco down there, and there's no way he's going to be coaching. And now the coaching search shall begin. Now back to this. I still think, though, I heard an interesting scenario also, which I'm not going to discount, from Chris Canty over on national radio on ESPN the other day. He was proposing, and it's not crazy, that the Cleveland Browns would want Shadir Sanders and Travis Hunter on the Browns, and they could go balls to the wall on some sort of that movie NFL Draft Day mega deal to make that happen. And the way he presented it wasn't at all nuts. Because when I first heard it, I thought he was nuts. And then he started to explain it. I'm like, that could be interesting. That would get the Browns certainly back on the map. So I really don't know what's going to happen. This stuff with the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers is fascinating to me. Can the Steelers make some mega move, and maybe they want Shadur Sanders as well? I mean, I think a lot of
Yeah.
this is still up in the air.
The Steelers have been a mess at quarterback since,
Yeah.
really the last 3 years of Roethlisberger. He
Yep.
was hurt every year.
Mhm.
So we're going on like almost a decade of this crap going on in Pittsburgh. Look, I could see the Steelers saying, "Screw it, we want to go forward and we want to bring in a kid." And sure, they're saying, but you're also going to have, the Steelers have a lot of veterans. This team is like sort of ready to win, even though they're stuck in that little 9-8 sort of mode. They're in a tough division there. So I think what they're thinking is we bring in Aaron Rodgers for 1 year, and then next year they draft a guy. I just think they're going to have to give too much up for Shadur Sanders, and if they're going to make that decision here soon, I think that plays into, Pete. I don't know if it's been all Rodgers. I think the Steelers have also told Rodgers we're still making decisions.
I agree, and they should, because I've said this to you before. I'm not entirely sure the Steelers really want him. Like they really, really, if they were so ready to go get him, he'd be on the team already. So the baggage that he brings and his flakiness and all that crap.
Well, no, Pete, he's not that good anymore. He's just not that good.
And that. But from a sports radio talk show host perspective, I hope he does. To watch him and Tomlin try to get through the season together, don't you think would be fascinating drama for all of us?
Yeah, I agree. And look, back to the original point, though, is Sanders. Sanders, look, the history of the draft, someone's going to want Sanders. So I know some people are talking about middle first round. No. That's not the way it works.
Again, but what about Deion influencing? I thought that was kind of died down a little bit until a couple of days ago. Now, is Deion going to say the Giants do want him? Is Deion going to say, I don't want you going to that team?
No. That would be done ahead of time. He wants him to go to the Giants, Pete. He wants him to go.
I know he said that a couple of weeks ago, but now I don't know. Maybe he's had second. I don't know. How much influence do you really think he has over Shadur and where he's going to end up?
Well, yeah, no, I think, look, part of the process in the interview process, he was sort of involved behind the scenes, and his son, I got to be honest, his son is as cocky is a strong word, very confident like his father. I'm impressed with Shadur, to be honest with you. Seems just like he seems like an alpha. I'll be honest, he seems like an alpha. Now, I'm not sold on him as a quarterback yet. Is he the third or fourth overall pick? I don't think he's that good, but there is something about him. He is a great athlete. Ironically, his father's one of the great athletes of all time. He's a pocket passer. He's not really, he doesn't run the ball much. He runs it a little bit.
We know that.
Yeah, but he's a pocket guy, and he's won. He's a winner. He's a very good player. He's got a good arm. It's not a great arm. It's a good arm. He's accurate. But I just don't think he's missing something, Pete.
If the Giants take him at 4, that's a huge mistake in my opinion. Now the Saints drafting him at 9, which is a lot of people have him going. I can see that.
No, Pete. No one's going to wait that long. He's going. In my opinion, the Patriots are going to get offers for the 4th pick because someone's going to want Sanders, and it's probably New Orleans. New Orleans can't play with it. They can't take a chance. So that's what I believe. But the Patriots don't. They make the trade if Carter's gone at 3. That's the only way.
I like that scenario because it makes your point a really good one. If the Saints want to trade up to the Patriots because the Giants take Abdul Carter and they don't want to take a chance. However, do they really need to trade up with the Patriots? If indeed the Giants do take Abdul Carter, because Jacksonville's not going to take Shadur Sanders. I don't believe the Raiders are going to take him. I suppose Tom Brady can pull a rabbit out of his ass and do it. But they're all
Pittsburgh
Are the Jets going to take? Are the Jets going to take him at 7?
Well, the Jets would, but I don't know if the Jets would wait either. The Jets may say we want him, and I think New York's a perfect place for Shadur as well. Like we get the Giants and the Jets.
Carolina sure as hell would want him, but this is where the Deion factor comes in. Would Deion allow him to go, or pull some Manning?
That would be done ahead of time, Pete. That would already be done. If the Jets wouldn't make a run at him at all, it would be because he said, "I'm not going to the Jets." And that's probably an internal thing. I don't think Deion's that stupid, but I bet there's a few teams he told he will not go there. My son will not go there, and he is playing the sort of, I'm a dad quarterback just like John Elway and Eli Manning. So, and I played in the NFL, and he did, and he was an all-time great. So he can say that. So I'll say it again. I think the Patriots, it's Carter or trade. I don't think they draft a tackle at 4th.
But when we say trade, you think it's going to be with somebody? It's somebody in the top 10.
Yeah, someone's going to want Shedeur Sanders, or maybe someone wants wants the tackle at LSU. So my point is, I think the Patriots are in a position now, and it's a good position because they know what they want, and it's either him or and then you get the tight end at 9, maybe.
Yeah. What if the Jets really want Abdul Carter, and they make a deal with the Giants?
No, those teams won't deal with each other. That won't happen.
Probably not. But again, they have in the past. They've had a couple of deals, and maybe not as significant as this. I keep thinking, and I've only watched Draft Day once, with Kevin Costner and all that stuff. But there's always trades. There's always. But all I'm saying, but there's always something in the first round that happens that we totally don't expect. I remember screaming at the TV when Lamar Jackson kept dropping, and I really thought the Patriots were going to grab him, and I thought they should have grabbed him. After watching that kid play so many games in college, I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe when Aaron Rodgers fell either. And then what's his name out of Notre Dame that year? He went down. Quinn, he fell big. I mean, gut feeling. What surprise? Anything going to shock you if it happens in the first round?
No. Yeah, Shedeur going like 23rd. That's not happening. And I know that's been thrown out there. That would shock me. And the NFL's changed. It's, again, the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks have always been important. Now it's like you're a second round guy in December. All of a sudden, the draft comes. You're 13 of the first round, and that's what happens during the draft because everyone knows the need for quarterback. And Pete, it's funny. You just said it earlier. You look through. A lot of teams don't need quarterbacks. They got their quarterback now. Not saying they're all superstars, but you get guys that are young that are still ascending a little bit. So there's not a lot of teams that say we do not have a quarterback. That's the only issue. If there were 4 more teams, the Patriots would be definitely trading this pick because someone would definitely be taking Sanders. Maybe even Cleveland would be trading the pick because they'd take him with the second pick. But this is not a strong crop. Pete, you know more about Cam Ward than I do. Is he legit number 1 overall pick?
Absolutely real deal. He's going to be a stud. That kid looks like he has been playing in the pros for 3 years. He can do it all. He's poised. He has great pocket presence. He scrambles when need be. It's tough to get down. He makes incredibly talented, good decisions. The one little fault, and it's only happened a couple of times. He sometimes he tries to be Brett Favre sometimes in those little fucking shovel pass type of things.
Right.
I'd say he did it 3 times out of all the passing attempts he had. Twice it worked really well. Once he got picked off by a lineman. But that's he doesn't do that. But he is a great improviser. He's absolutely unbelievable. He's spot on. And I think the Tennessee Titans are going to get themselves an absolute stud for many, many years to come. I'm not just saying that because I'm a Canes fan. I watched him at Washington State. I watched him here. That kid is the real deal. I've told you. He's the Celtics. Cam Ward is the Celtics. Shedeur Sanders is the Knicks. That's the best analogy I can give.
Okay.
All
right.
We'll see. Now, go ahead.
So I'm going to go back to what we said earlier, Pete. The 2001 draft really. No, it wasn't just the draft. We had Brady. He started. They had all the players that came over from the Belichick, from the Parcells era. There were obviously other parameters involved, but that draft in 2001, Seymour and Light, 2 extremely important positions for the franchise for that first Super Bowl run, were taken care of in the draft, and that's what the Patriots potentially could do here. They could do exactly what Belichick did in 2001.
Awesome. Before we let you go, any last impressions on what happened at the press conferences yesterday with the Patriots?
You're talking at Gillette?
Yeah, Gillette. Yeah.
I'm a big Vrabel guy. I like him. He's affable. He's the right guy for the job. And the one thing he stressed, funny, was there's energy every day. There's energy. And look, I was here a year ago, and I was at press conference a year ago, and I don't really remember hearing that word a lot. It's definitely different around here. But Pete, there's also players. He brought in some players here during that free agency. This is and then it's not. I'm not talking 5-star talent.
Yeah.
But these guys are football players, and there's a definite mentality. They're going to be tough. They're just going to be a tough football team. And now they got to take care of some of the skill, and they got to take care of the offensive line and the defensive, the edge rusher. In my opinion, you add like a Micah Parsons to the Patriots, they're making a run. They're making a run. I'm not saying they're the best team, but they're like a 10-7 team in my opinion, and that's why that position is so important. And then left tackle is more a foundational piece for the next 10 years.
Bill, you're the man. Thanks so much. We'll check in again closer to the draft. 8 more days. Are you going to Green Bay, by the way?
No, I'm not going. But I will be in Foxborough for the draft.
Okay, awesome. All right, we'll talk before that. Thanks so
All
much.
right, see you guys. Take care.
Take care. Bill Burke from the Eagle Tribune joining me, and from one guest to another, just like that. One of my other favorite people in the world to talk to on a weekly basis, the one and only Bill Sparrows from the Boston Herald, senior betting analyst at bookies.com. Good morning, mate. I was thinking of you as the Red Sox were getting pounded the other night, 16-1. And then nice comeback last night. Thank God for Bregman, 5 for 5, 4 ribbies. But I was doing this. And I know I don't get overly excited about anybody in baseball till Memorial Day. I've learned my lesson for many, many years. But if I was Alex Cora after that game, I was looking over my shoulder just a little bit. But
I wish that were true. I wish he was looking over his shoulder. I wish there were, there was some impotence on him to find another way to motivate this team. They've lost. This has been a season of lost opportunity so far. They played a lot of bad teams, and what are they sort of floating around 500 right now?
Only 2 games back. Thank God the Yankees and Toronto. And
I mean, the division is terrible.
Yeah, everybody's so far. It's very early still. It's so far, but I agree with you.
Well, we knew the division was going to be terrible. That's why the betting markets look so favorably on the Red Sox to make the playoffs. We talked about all that last month, but based on the math that I learned in the Arlington public school system, a win in April is worth as much as a win in September. And, they're in a situation where it's going to come down to like 3 or 4 games. And it was 4 games last year. And they're presumably better. So, those 3-2 games, stranding the guy at third, those losses, you can't get them back. And they could, it's way too early to panic, but I can think of 3 games off the top of my head this year that they should have easily won and didn't.
I think about 5.
And 5. There's 5 out of 20 games right there. That's if you were to extrapolate that over the course of the season, that's a quarter of the season that they're blowing.
And I agree with you. But just as important though as last night, where Kelly can't come in and do the job, and then Chapman has to come in and get a save. Those are the little things that I'm going to remember. Those extra. And I don't even throw a whole lot of pitches, but nevertheless, he still had to come in where he had no business really being in that game. That's the problem I have.
Well, that's Cora. That's Alex Cora. Yeah. He doesn't know how to handle the pitching staff still. I understand last night. That tells you how desperate they were, because I think given that lead, they could have left Kelly in there. I mean, he needed just one more out, but that was like, if you lose that game, then maybe. Yeah. Well, no, it takes 3 or 4 days to thaw John Henry, so he's not going to panic. I mean, they have to begin the decompression, the thawing process, the reanimation process. So it probably takes about a week for him to get reanimated. So I don't think they'd panic yet, but yeah, that was like as close to a must-win game in April as you're ever going to see.
And I think we experienced it firsthand at spring training. Tanner Houck, and I don't like to put a lot of stock in preseason numbers because or exhibition numbers, because a lot of times they don't come to fruition. It's just guys working. But in the case of Tanner Houck, he's stuck in spring training and he's gotten worse. His ERA, I believe, is 91.6 right now. 91.6. What happened the other night with him hadn't happened since what, 1962? As far as the Red Sox play, I mean, it's just making history in the wrong way. An all-star last year, by the way. So they got some work to do with him, and they need him.
Oh, man. Red Sox all-stars. That's like a curse. Like if you're a Red Sox all-star, that's not a good thing. I always think of Scott Cooper.
Well, yeah, well, they had no choice back then, But, Jaron Duran finally got the bat going last night a little bit as well. By the way, did you finish the club? Did you watch the whole series, The Clubhouse?
I'm still wrestling over whether or not I want to watch it. I haven't seen this week's Celtic City yet. I'll probably watch it.
It's excellent. Yeah, very good.
And it's like I can get into that because the Celtics are playoffs this week. Orlando, it's very exciting. Banner or bust or whatever you want to call it. But I find it so hard to get into the 2024 Red Sox when I can watch the 2025 Red Sox live, number one.
Yeah.
And the 2024 Red Sox sucked. And there's, for me, it's like, I just don't like the timing of this thing. And I understand production and all that. To me, it doesn't make any sense to drop this at the start of baseball season when you're still trying to get into this year's team. The Celtics thing is perfect because the season begins Wednesday for the Celtics, right?
Sunday.
I'm sorry, Sunday. Yeah, so the Celtic City has been
Easter Sunday too.
Yeah, the Celtic City has been sort of a run up to the playoffs, right? It's a run up to their can they repeat, right? Is this team going to find its place? So the timing on that was perfect. The timing on the dynasty was perfect because the Patriots had cratered. Brady had retired and Belichick was on the way out. But the timing of this Red Sox thing is just awkward for me. And maybe it's me, I don't know. I just can't really get into it when I'm trying to figure out what's going to happen with this year's team.
The only thing, knowing you a little bit, how I think you would find parts of it very fascinating. It's not about the wins and losses. It's about the behind the scenes stuff and the Jaron Duran stuff. Incredible stories aside, there's some funny stuff there. I think Craig Breslow to me doesn't come off great in it. To me, it's a tad Mike McDaniel, not quite as bad. Charlie Brown, wishy-washy, but it's a little wishy-washy at times. Like I don't get that. Theo, there was something about him. There was Larry Lucchino. There was an aura about those two guys. Late great Larry Lucchino, and of course, there was something that Craig Breslow when he talks in this documentary, I'm not feeling it. I feel like,
my memory of Craig Breslow is him throwing that ball up the third base line against the Cardinals in the World Series because I was at that game, and I still remember that ball just going flying into left field. So I got to get past that. So that might be a while. I haven't gotten over Fisk, so it's gonna be a while for me to get over Craig Breslow. But that doesn't surprise me. It's the Red Sox. It's what they are. It's it's everything that's not real is real, and everything that should be real isn't real. Save for the fact that they signed a guy who went 5 for 5 last night and pulled him out of a tailspin. There's your stopper, by the way, kids.
Yeah,
Alex Bregman is your stopper here,
and Garrett Crochet. But they need a near no hitter for the win.
Jeez, they almost blew that game.
I know.
But the thing with Bregman is he's going to be your stopper every third day or every, Crochet only pitches.
Yeah, once every
5. Bregman's the guy that's got to be your stopper, like when Crochet can't pitch because he can't pitch every day. It is nice to have like a real legit, like top tier.
Yeah.
Like Bogarts, Evers in their prime, Bogarts in his prime, Mookie in his prime kind of guy on this team. It's kind of nice.
No, it's no question about it. Christian Campbell went 0 for 5 last night, but he's still batting .302. It's very, very early. To me, the most concern, and again, they lead the league in errors again right now.
Well, there you go.
They lead the league in errors.
They're
15
in
errors
line
in
for
19
trouble.
games. 15 errors in 19 games. But the thing that concerns me the most right now is Tanner Houck. They got to get him back on track. He looks completely lost out there. Now, if Bregman, who's also made a couple errors this year, but if he fields that ball the other night, yeah, the Red Sox don't lose 16-1. I think that would have been an inning-ending double play had he fielded it properly, or extended the inning and then all hell broke loose. I think it would have been 3 or 4-1 at the end of that inning. But that's what happens. They're not good enough to overcome bad fielding plays. And they've made their share of really good ones this year. We've talked about it. It looks like they turned the corner. And then 15 errors, 19 games, that was leading the league at the time. They're not good enough to overcome that. It's just not.
No.
I don't think any team is.
No, of course not.
No extra outs. They can't afford it. No extra outs.
Well, when you're leaving guys on third base with one out in the 10th inning,
Yeah.
you can't afford any mistakes.
No, not at all. All right, moving on. What is going on? Anything going on in the gambling world that has tickled your fancy lately?
I'm glad you asked.
Yes.
So much to talk about. Lots to unload.
Yes, unload,
very
please, unload.
interesting story last week in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
This is just kind of not even weird, very sort of sad story. Patron at DraftKings had passed away, and he had about $101,000 in live futures bets on the Celtics. Some were to win the East. Some were to win the NBA Finals. It was about 8 or 9 futures bets. They totaled 101,600. The potential liability would have about 384,000. I mean, he got the Celtics. He bet the Celtics last June to win this year's title. He got them at like plus 450.
Oh, good for him.
So, I mean, these were like really good bets. But the estate, the widow, the attorney had reached out to DraftKings and asked that they cancel the wagers and refund the money bet into his account so that the estate could get the money, right? And any time you want to refund a bet like that, you have to get permission from the gaming commission. That's why this issue came.
But it's legal to do that. You can do that. Do you need like a proof of a death certificate or something like?
No. They provided all the information. I mean, this was a legit. I mean, the guy passed away, and he had $100,000 in live wagers in his DraftKings account, and don't blame his wife. For wanting the money, although that does lead to a more philosophical question of, do you let it ride in honor of your late husband, especially when you're getting the Celtics at 4.5 to 1 to repeat.
So, but legally, is that allowed if he passes away? So the wife or any other family member is able to
it's the estate
off his account. Okay, all right. I'm just
it's like any other asset you have when you die, right? That was an asset of his estate. Was this? The issue was, it was just more of an interesting story about process and how, there was a process for like, what if, like, that's a what if, right? Like, what if I got $1 million bet and I drop dead before the bet resolves? Well, there's a process for that. His attorney, the estate's attorney, reached out to DraftKings and said, here's the situation. This gentleman passed away, and DraftKings was satisfied that it was legitimate, but they still had to get permission from the gaming commission to void the wagers.
Gotcha.
Which the gaming commission granted. I mean, there was no discussion. It was just to me, it was a very interesting story about, what happens in that situation. And then, the more philosophical gambling discussion is, it's $100,000 is a lot of money. But you have some pretty good bets out there, and you would wonder if maybe you'd leave one. There was a series of wagers, like 7,500,
yeah, sure,
10,000 apiece, and I'm wondering, like, in honor of like, I would hope that my wife would leave like one bet alive, like sort of to honor me, because it's like, what's my dying wish? My dying wish is to let it ride, like all in on
but what happens if somebody betting legally, say it's down here through Hard Rock, and say they don't tell they don't tell their wives or significant others, and there's $100,000 in an account. Guy or girl drops dead, and what happens if nobody comes forth with that money? Do they make a phone call?
Well,
I mean,
well,
what happens
there's a process that the money stays in the account.
Oh yeah, I know that, but for how long?
It stays in the account until
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah.
I mean, until they cease operations, and then we've seen several sports books stop operations in Massachusetts. And what happens in all of those cases is the first thing they have to do is resolve any wagers, right? Like
Yes.
futures wagers. And the way they do that is they figure out the value of the bet. Like, in other words, like what would be the payoff? Like, let's say you had the Celtics at 20-1 to win the NBA title, and the sports book was going to close before the NBA finals. They would put a value on that bet and say, you can, this is what we think it would be worth if you wanted to cash it out. But it would never go below your original stake. You'd always get your original stake back or more. So you would never lose your original stake. If a book halted operations, you would always get that money back. But you might get more back if, if it's you had the Patriots to win 7 games and they're 6-0.
Yeah.
That wager is going to be worth more than just what you wagered. So they would factor all that in, and that's how they did it when they unwound Better, and what was the other one that left the state? I can't recall off the top of my head, but
Not Barstool.
Obviously, WinBet.
Okay.
And Barstool just flipped the ESPN bet.
Yeah, they flipped the ESPN. Yeah.
But when these books unwind, that's how they do it. And again, this is all the more reason why you want to wager through a legal licensed sports book. Because if we've seen this now, we've seen states issue cease and desist letters against offshore books. They're finally doing this. And I know we talked about this before, but it's been too damn long. But they're finally going after these offshore books. And there were several offshore books that stopped operations in New Jersey, and those customers got screwed. They had money in their accounts, and the book said, "Oh, we're shutting down, and you're not getting your money."
Well, tell me about it. We went through that with Black Friday that time.
Yeah,
I pulled
exactly
cars
right.
and full
Yep.
tilt. It's the same thing. And
Yep.
thank God I had pulled, I had like $400 or $500, and I just happened to cash out a little bit right before it happened, just out of, not because I thought something was going down, but just because I wanted to, and got very, very lucky because a lot of my friends got screwed, and the guys who I knew were professional poker players had to move to Mexico to access their account again.
Well,
And
again, that's why I always tell people, there's a lot of advantages to wagering offshore, but the biggest advantage with wagering through any licensed book in any state is that you're going to always get your money. You're never not going to get your money because they put up a bond, they've put up a registration fee. These are publicly traded companies that basically, short of filing for bankruptcy, which would not happen when you're a publicly traded company at $40 a share. You're going to be sold by the time you hit $20 a share. Someone's going to buy you out. So if you want to bet in Florida through Hard Rock, or in Massachusetts through any of the licensed books up there, or in New Hampshire through DraftKings, or Rhode Island through that god-awful state lottery system they have,
I hear
you're going to get paid.
But I don't know all the details. But okay.
You're going to get paid. You're going to get your money. If the book ceases operations, you'll get paid. And the thing about the books too is that you got to understand, like, if Sportsbook A is licensed in 10 states and it pulls out of one state and tries to screw everybody over in that state, the regulators in the other 9 states are going to put the hammer to it. Like, in other words, everything DraftKings does in Massachusetts matters to the regulators in Ohio, and vice versa. Every time a book is penalized, if FanDuel is fined by the New Jersey State Gaming Commission for a betting violation, they have to inform the regulators in Massachusetts, Ohio, New York, and every other state.
Is that why? I mean, ESPN, the last month on TV and the radio, they're doing their advertising, their ESPN Bet app or whatever it is. But I maybe it's because they read it too fast. Or whatever. They always say, and then at the end it goes offer not available in New York, and they make sure they fly by that. Why is that?
Well, it's like anything else. Every state has different rules, right?
Okay.
Like when you'd go to McDonald's and you'd play the Monopoly game that was ultimately rigged.
Yes.
Or when we were young and the Russians didn't show up in 1984 and we had French fries for 4 years.
Yep.
Thanks to the Soviet boycott. And it always says on the bottom, and I remember this as a kid, void in Alaska and Hawaii. And I'm like, sucks to be you, Alaska and Hawaii. I'm getting free fries for the next 4 years because the Russians didn't show up and the Americans took the gold medal in double sculls rowing.
Yes.
And McDonald's said, we're going to give out free Big Macs and women's double skull rolling because the East Germans haven't lost it. Then the East Germans didn't show up and we all ate free McDonald's. And the girls would always give us like 20 tickets every time we pulled up to the drive-thru.
But aren't there a ton of promotions? To forget gambling aside, and still to this day, you hear stuff out there, and no matter what it is, I don't care what's being promoted, it's offer not available in Alaska and Hawaii.
Of course, that's what they have to do.
A box of Cheerios is $11 out there.
But also don't forget that all of these, there's always no purchase necessary, right?
That's true, yeah.
Because the three planks of any lottery, prize, consideration, chance. So they take out the price. The consideration.
Did you ever see the documentary about the Pepsi scandal that gave away a plane? That is one of the most fascinating documentaries ever, and the patience that family had to go through to finally get their plane and then sell it is absolutely unbelievable. Did you find that fascinating?
Well, yeah, and that's a test case.
Yeah.
There are 2 test cases. That's one of them. That's a very famous test case. And another famous test case that came up, during the infamous Barstool debacle in Massachusetts was the Captain Crunch defense, where someone sued claiming that Captain Crunch was not a real captain. He was not a real Navy captain.
Yeah.
And the courts ruled that it was so obvious it was obvious to the average person that no, he's just a fake cartoon character. And that was the defense that Barstool and Penn used at the time with Dan Big Cat's Can't Lose Parlay. Their argument was, well, this is obviously a parody because Dan's an idiot. That's what they said.
Yeah.
And of course, long story short, I was live tweeting that hearing.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just basically transcribing it on Twitter. And I write Barstool attorney. Everyone knows this is fake because Dan Katz is worst gambler ever. And then Big Cat saw that and retweeted it and said, I'm getting this framed. So I took a screenshot of that tweet, got it framed and mailed it to him. And then he took a picture of it and said, I'm making this in my office. So
but imagine spending money on such a frivolous, it's one thing if somebody's, it's Kellogg's or whatever, posts, name, likeness, and image type of thing, and you're making money off something. But can you imagine a judge getting that? Case number 422, State versus Captain Crunch, or whatever they want to call it. I mean, I can't even imagine a judge looking at that
it's
going,
funny.
I got to do this?
Well, that's part of the job.
I know it is, but
my wife's been a lawyer forever, so she can, bore you to death with stories like that. But, the point is these kind of crazy things actually end up mattering, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We saw that with, you mentioned the Pepsi documentary. You mentioned, I always bring up that Captain Crunch thing.
Yeah.
But like all this stuff matters too, like with, like in this instance in gambling, right? You always need sort of a test case or like a what if scenario, right? Because you talk about what if, like, okay, what if, you drop dead and you mentioned a fact about like not knowing, like, yeah, there's probably lots of circumstances where someone has, 1, 2, or 7 betting accounts and there's money in each one and they drop dead and their significant other doesn't even know about it.
Yeah.
You're right. And unless someone comes, that money's just going to stay in that account. And I don't know if there might be a 365-day limit. I'd have to look that up. I don't know that for sure. But eventually there would become a time where the book would say, we're going to close this account due to non-activity. And, they would send a check or deposit into the last bank account or whatever account was on record.
Yeah.
So the money would eventually end up into the same account where you were depositing from your bank account into DraftKings. They would just, the same method they paid you out, they would return that money.
Yeah.
So somebody might be, you might have your late husband's or wife's bank account, and 6 months later, there's this $1,000 deposit from DraftKings in there. And lo and behold, that was the account that has been inactive for long enough to where they want to close it. They don't like to have inactive accounts. It doesn't do them any good. So I would imagine that somewhere buried in the house rules, there's like language that says if you don't do anything for X amount of days, they'll just close out your account.
Gotcha. Bill, thanks so much. Always anything else you need to plug or any articles you want to send me and I'll retweet, whatever it is. Let me know.
I'm knee deep in research this time of year. I'm doing a lot of NFL research. I do a lot of miles traveled stuff every year. We'll have the NFL's
I love that
story
Yeah.
as soon as we know the international opponents.
Yes.
The number one team in the NFL in terms of miles traveled this year is a record breaker. And it's very interesting. I'm always fascinated by the time zones.
Mm-hmm.
This year we have, I think your New England Patriots only cross into like 2 different or 3 different time zones off the top of my head.
Yep.
The Patriots have an incredible schedule.
They do.
In terms of strength of schedule, which I've already done. I'll send you that.
Yep.
The Patriots have the easiest schedule in the NFL. I came up with a formula where I did both winning percentage last year and projected wins of opponents this year.
Mm-hmm.
And I messed around in AI. So I came up with a formula that's able to weigh them equally. And the Patriots have the softest schedule in the NFL this year.
Yep, absolutely. That's why they're going to be, it's going to be expected, to be at least an 8, maybe a 9-win team, maybe more if everything goes.
Yeah, in total 7.5.
Yeah. Yep. That's about right. Bill, thanks so much. Always love having you on. Obviously, great columnist for the Boston Herald, senior betting analyst for bookies.com. Fascinating insight into all of that stuff. So check him out. And we'll talk again next week. Happy Easter, by the way. I know Greek Easter and regular Easter is on the same day. Thank God the Celtics are playing at 3:30.
Easter is regular Easter. Hey. Greek Easter and the wrong Easter is on the same day this year.
Not that my Easter as a Roman Catholic is not a long mass, but Orthodox Easter is.
Oh man, I've been. It's like the Boston Marathon is Monday. We have our marathon Saturday night.
I know. My wife's Greek, as you know. She was talking about going, and I said, "Count me out. Sorry, I'll praise the baby Jesus. I'll praise the baby Jesus right here."
A lot of practice. A lot of prep.
All right, my friend. All the best. Happy Easter to you and your family, and we'll talk soon.
Same to you, Pete.
All right, thank you very much. Bill Sparrow's there joining us from the Boston Herald and bookies.com. All right, quick break, Angel, and then when we come back, we'll get ready for OB's going to join us. That'd be Mia O'Brien up at 1010XL in Jacksonville. More NFL talk with her. Coming up next here on the Pete Sheppard Show on the Coastal Sports Network.
Hi, folks. This is Gerard Moynihan of Moynihan Lumber, and I would like you to know that our company has been selling Anderson windows for over 60 years. See the complete line of Anderson windows at any of our 3 locations in North Reading, Beverly, or in Plastown, New Hampshire, or at MoynihanLumber.com.
Hey, everybody. It's Pete Sheppard from the Coastal Sports Network. Want to tell you about my good friend Lou DiMuzio and his company. Lou is the president and founder of Ace Technology Advisors. They're big-time tech specialists. At ATA, they're able to craft, implement, and manage the best and most appropriate solution for your business. They leverage their industry-leading experience and their portfolio of technology partners to improve your best practices and infrastructure. So you can get a hold of them at 888-599-4223. That's 888-599-4223. Check them out on their webpage, www.acetechadvisors.com. That's www.acetechadvisors.com, or you can email them sales@acetechadvisors.com. Check out my friend Lou DiMuzio and Ace Technology Advisors.
Okay, men, this is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're gonna go out there and be an all-star caregiver. It's up to you. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna go grocery shopping, cook, clean, Be there emotionally and physically. You gotta dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments. Don't you forget about the pharmacy. I know you won't. Because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Don't ever give up. This is your time to show the world, your family, and yourself that you're tougher than tough. Now go out there and be the best caregiver this world has ever seen. Caregiving is tougher than tough. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Danica Patrick and proud aunt. Watching my nieces grow, play, and learn is amazing. But not every child gets to be carefree. 1 in 6 kids in the U.S. are hungry. 1 in 6. That little girl sitting alone at the playground, she can't play like the other kids. She doesn't have the energy because she's hungry. School lunch will be her only meal today. It breaks my heart that this is the reality in our country, but it's something that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste. This food is then provided to families and children in need. Being a kid should be about using your imagination, learning, and having fun. These children shouldn't have to miss out on simply being a kid because they're hungry. To find out how you can help end childhood hunger in your community, visit feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting. A teenager. Learning the lingo.
Today I'm going to help parents translate teen slang. Now, when a teen says something is on fleek, it's exactly like saying, that's rad. It simply means that something is awesome or cool. Another one is totes. It's exactly like saying totally, just shorter. As in, I totes love going to the mall with Becca. Another word you might hear is jelly. Jelly is a shorter, better way to say jealous. As in, Chloe, I am like so jelly of your unicorn phone case.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will think you're, rad just the same. To learn more, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
This is the story of a very special woman. In a matter of seconds, she turned herself into a great mathematician or an entrepreneur. Her knowledge was limitless and still is. She could also make monsters disappear, especially those that lurked in the shadows under the bed. Once, this woman put back together a teenage girl's broken heart, which had been shattered in 1,000 pieces, just by giving her a bear hug. She masqueraded as a regular person at work, but as a superhero at home. Everyone knows her as Gabriella. I still call her Mom.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need to help, complete with tips and resources at aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by...
Don't spaz out because your team lost. Let Pete do it for you. Now, back to the Pete Sheppard Show.
Yeah, thanks to call Dave O'Brien. We were over last night on this, and Alex Bregman had a couple of home runs, 5 for 5 night, just missed hitting for the cycle, needed a triple. That's okay. Red Sox got back on track last night, beating the Rays 7-4. Waiting for me, O'Brien. She's going to join us in just a couple of minutes up in Jacksonville from 1010XL, co-host of Helmets and Heels. Great show they have up there. Angelo, if you could refresh and scroll down just to one. I just refreshed. Pat McAfee talking about the question I've been asking as well on his show yesterday. What's Aaron Rodgers doing? Where he at?
The beluga whales.
Boom. Open everything and touch nothing.
Speaking of, what's he up to, dude? You got a Saints?
I'm kind of attached to a lot of things, though. So, like
Got a lot
family, and kids, and wife.
Chicken, rice.
Everything.
Plain chicken.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. What is there? Are the Saints an option? We hear anything on that front?
You tell me.
I got nothing. You know,
We were talking about this earlier, and I don't know if people believe us whenever we say this, but it is the truth. We, in this Thunderdome, do not know shit about what Aaron Rodgers is thinking or doing. Like, during the season, we certainly talked to him, and we mentioned this during Big Night Out. Like, Aaron Rodgers Tuesday ends after the season ends, and then if he comes back for a recap, that's literally on him or not. The 1 year, whenever he didn't after the Jets, obviously after Aaron Rodgers Tuesday was over, I was called a coward and everything, and then he was brought on the next day. Then I was called the worst person on earth. I mean, it was an interesting back-to-back, this relationship with Aaron. We've been very lucky to get a chance to chit-chat with him and learn about him and everything like that. But we don't know shit about what's happening with him.
Interesting.
Yep, absolutely. Just got a text from Mia. Hang on. She might be calling in because she's doing a podcast as well.
Oh, crap. Hold on. That means I got to quickly do something else here. I just meal.
Let's see. So you are going to call in?
I've got to switch something around. I just meal. This is live programming, folks. This is the way it works.
Well, yeah, this is behind the scenes stuff. Yeah, I don't want her to mess up her stream either.
No, me either. Let me go back and take a looky. Or if she has to come on tomorrow, I mean, either way. But yeah,
I think she's going to be able to call in.
Okay.
Doing this, so.
Donde está right here?
All right. Well, we'll wait from that. If you scroll down underneath that is Mike Vrabel yesterday on why Joe Milton was traded. If we could play that one. There we go.
This one should be interesting. And here we go.
Joe Milton, why trade for him? Why trade him when you guys did?
Well, we felt like that his reps were going to be decreased as we worked through the offseason, and we felt like, just like every other decision, that we're going to try to do what's best for the team, and that's the decision that we ultimately made. And so, excited to move forward with Drake and Josh, and that's going to be a tough one for me to continue to say over and over, just Drake and Josh. So,
Joe Milton, why trade for him?
Okay, that was not our fault. That's the audio the way it was.
That's just the audio. So there you go. So I was going to have Mia's going to be calling in.
Okay.
Shortly here. I just got a partial schedule for round one for the Celtics, by the way, so we all know now. Easter Sunday, the game will be played at 3:30 on ABC in Boston. Game number 2 will not be until Wednesday, April 23rd, also at the Garden. That'll be on TNT nationally, obviously NBC, ESB locally. That'll be Wednesday at 7 p.m. Game 3, only a day in between, Friday in Orlando at April 25th. That'll be on ESPN. And then Sunday, a week from Easter Sunday, the 27th at 7 o'clock at night, also on TNT and local. So there you have it. Hang on. Stand by.
Stand by. It is warming up quickly around here. Around these parts, we're up to 70 degrees here, which, as I mentioned before, Jerry absolutely loves when we talk about the weather. But thankfully for him, it's getting warmer up there, Jerry.
Okay, she's going to call in because she only has about 10 minutes because of her schedule. So we'll call in. We'll get to her radio. She should be calling in any second. So love talking to her. Great stuff. Always great inside stuff. And we'll see what her take is on this upcoming NFL draft as well.
Wonder if she's going up to the draft.
That's a good question. I will ask her that. I'm sure somebody from her station is. But, yeah, they're projected they have the number 5 pick. There's not any trades, so they have a pick right after the Patriots. And there she is. We could put her picture up, too.
There's Mia.
There it is. OB, good morning. It's me, O'Brien, from 1010XL and co-host of Helmets and Heels, and one of the great ones, one of the great NFL insiders as well. Mia, good morning. How are you? Thanks for taking a few.
I think I've defied the rules of logic and I'm teleporting between being live with a recorded podcast, but still live simultaneously on YouTube right now on Duval Rundown, and then also doing the call-in with you guys. So I'm glad we're defying the rules of gravity and time travel.
This is awesome. Right, first, are you headed in 8 days? Are you headed to Green Bay by chance? Lambeau Field?
I will not. I am not among the 17 invitees that will make their way to Wisconsin. Instead, I will be very much here in Jacksonville, ground zero, of course, for the first ever draft by James Gladstone and Liam Cohen.
Yeah. So what's the thinking process? I've seen some of the mock drafts. Assuming there's no trade, we can always assume there's no, at least with Jacksonville anyway. But who the hell knows? Assuming there's not a trade, you guys have the number 5 overall pick. I've seen Mason Graham, the defensive tackle from Michigan, others. What's the buzz around up your way about who the Jaguars are looking at?
Yeah, the good news is that as much as this podcast that I'm currently monitoring while I'm on the phone with you guys is currently going live, I can tell you that it will be available on demand here in just a bit. And myself and Jordan Reed of ESPN, who joined me for today's episode, both agree. Mason Graham is the undoubtedly, yes, most mocked player to the Jaguars at 5, but he fits the mold of the identity of what they're trying to build. And he also fits a strong need for the Jaguars. The Jaguars really have not had a penetrating defensive tackle, unless you want to include Calais Campbell and Malik Jackson when they were signed in free agency in 2016 and 2017, respectively, arguably since Marcus Stroud and John Henderson in the early 2000s. And so that's why, for me, ultimately, it's a no-brainer. He's a lunch pail, blue-collar type of guy. I've heard that from staffers around the league, executives, scouts. And so I'm not going to spoil my final mock draft Monday, brought to you by One Night Taco Stand, for this upcoming week. But I will tell you that, I am once again doubling down, and I will be picking Mason Graham for the Jaguars at number 5 overall, because I don't think they're going to be able to trade out of the spot ultimately. And I still have reservations about Jalen Walker, a player who, while yes, might be running for president one day and also might be a defense coordinator and is certainly a high character individual and might be the best overall football player in the class. I don't think this is a Jaguars regime quite like the previous one, where they would be okay with having to bring in a player where you have to teach him a brand new position despite spending premium capital on him.
Well, and he fits the mold for you guys, no question, for anybody. But the fact that he's so versatile, he can pass defend, pass rush, and run defend as well. I mean, that's huge. You don't get a lot of those guys. There's a couple of them in this draft, but he's certainly one of them. So since you were 31st last year, 5.9 yards per play. Yikes.
Oh yeah, no, it's one of those things. And then the argument, of course, on the other side of that is knowing the Jaguars have struggled in short yardage on the offensive side of the ball, and the idea of, can you give Trevor Lawrence help? Should you be drafting Ashton Genty, who is a blue chip player? I mean, I'll tell you this because he just said it on this live recording. Jordan believes Mason Graham's a blue chip player as well. And so I know there's been a lot of discourse, including some folks who've come on the Superstation of 1010XL, and they've tried to argue that Mason Graham is not a blue chip player. We could split hairs all we want. It's not a great draft class at the top to begin with. Yes, there's a lot of depth. I anticipate the Jaguars will not be done shopping defensive linemen in the draft after they select Mason Graham at 5. And so, look, if you want to circle back and get a developmental defensive tackle, by all means, on day 2 or day 3. But this is going to be a team that's built from the inside out, and certainly the fronts are the most logical starting point.
Miguel O'Brien joining us from 1010 XL for just a few more minutes. I think this is an unbelievably potential to be one of the most fascinating drafts in a long time. Kind of reminds me, I've only seen draft day once. Wasn't a huge fan of it, but I understand it. I'm trying to go back, when Baker Mayfield and all the other quarterbacks were drafted a few years ago, and who was going to be number 1. Only because of Shedeur Sanders and the Giants, and flaky boy Aaron Rodgers is still out there. And who the hell knows really what is going to happen. I know people are assuming Cleveland's going to take Travis Hunter at 2. I am not making that assumption. I thought Chris Candy brought up an interesting thing the other day on a morning show about, he proposed that somehow the Cleveland Browns could manipulate and get Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders to Cleveland. When he first said it, I thought he was nuts. And then he started to explain why. And it kind of made sense. But your overall thoughts, do you kind of see chalk happening here the first 4 or 5? I mean, the Giants they're going to take Abdul Carter and screw my Patriots. Are they going to do the wrong thing, in my opinion, to take Shedeur Sanders? What do you think is going to happen here, these first few picks?
I tweeted it out the other day and I stand by it. Joe Shane has been scheduling all of these last minute workouts with quarterbacks. He will select Abdul Carter because I believe Travis Hunter is a done deal to Cleveland in my estimation and from what I've heard. And Joe Shane will step out to his availability in Florham Park, not Florham Park, in East Rutherford. That's where their facility is now. And he will say that, yes, haha, we got you. We made you think we were taking a quarterback at 3. And instead we went with one of the 2 premier talents in this draft. And look, Abdul Carter's not for everybody. He's an acquired taste. I've heard that from multiple people around the league, but he is a blue chip talent that I don't think the Giants can pass on. Now, part of it too is that I think that there is a chance Jackson Dart goes ahead of Shedeur Sanders. Hell, maybe Tyler Shuck somehow gets into the mix. Certainly Dart, though, has the most likely and the best odds to go ahead of Sanders. I know Jalen Milroe, of course, has also been invited to Green Bay, which would suggest that teams have made it known to the league that they will be selecting him with one of the first 3 round picks. But I think that the smoke regarding the idea of Kevin Stefanski and Kellen Moore spending more and more time in Oxford, Mississippi with Dart, the fact that the Saints sent Moore, their offensive coordinator, in Doug Nussmeier, their quarterbacks coach, in Scott Tolzien, all to work Dart out at his pro day. They didn't go to Boulder. They didn't go to have a private workout with Shedeur Sanders. And so that says to me that might be the biggest surprise, because otherwise I do expect it to be pretty chalky, or as chalky as this one can possibly be.
Yeah, the other thing, that would blow my mind, I guess not really. The Steelers and their 5-hour interview with Shedeur Sanders, I mean, they're not picking until 21, so they'd have to make some sort of phenomenal deal. I think Watt would have to be involved if they're really, really serious about him. I don't know, maybe they should be, but I don't know, any chance you see anything wacky happening in the first round like that?
No, I think that would be the wackiest thing, I think, is just this idea of Jackson Dart going ahead of Shedeur Sanders falling to the second round. I think ultimately for me, the storyline that I am watching the most is, do we see teams seize the moment with such a deep defensive tackle class and perhaps an offensive line class that has great depth in the middle, but maybe not premier talent? And so do we see teams go offensive tackle? Do we see teams go defensive tackle much more early and often, which in turn could help the Jaguars? And that's something Jordan and I talked about, this idea of, hey, if the wide receiver run doesn't start until the last 4 or 5 picks of the first round, that plays into a team like the Jaguars' hand, because if there is to be, let's say if Tet McMillan doesn't end up going until the 20s, the most logical spot, or rather the first spot that so many have kind of deemed his ceiling, if you may, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 19. Let's say they do go with yet another defensive lineman. Okay, well, now he doesn't go until the late 20s. Matthew Golden, some people believe the Dallas Cowboys could select him at 12. Let's say he doesn't go until the 20s. Now you'll see a domino effect where fringe first-round guys like Luther Burden, Emeka Ibuka out of Ohio State, could they sneak into the second round? And could a team like the Jaguars or any of those teams with the first 5 to 6 picks seize that moment? That is certainly a storyline here locally we're following, and I think it could have repercussions around the league, because as Liam Cohen said yesterday, this is not a glamorous wide receiver class, but at the same time, there is decent depth in that second, third round area, but you got to make sure you strike the iron while it's hot.
And of course, we always know that on paper, yes, it may seem that way, but there's always stuff, usually in late second, third, fourth, fifth rounds. Somebody is going to emerge, and it may take 2 or 3 years for us to realize that, but there's always surprises. It's such a crapshoot. We know this. Real quick, a couple of things. One, gut feeling on Aaron Rodgers. Retire, or does he
going to Pittsburgh? Yeah, I feel like at this point in time, it's Pittsburgh or bust. Pittsburgh or the beach. How does that sound? And ultimately, I think what the Steelers do in the draft will be pretty telling. I don't see them going quarterback at 21 just because it's not in their DNA. But if they do, then that's pretty telling about where the situation stands with Rodgers. But the fact that their ownership was pretty forthright in saying, hey, we're trying to figure things out, says to me that maybe they're the team that tries to take Jalen Milroe in the second round. And then we'll hear a couple days after the draft that they have signed Aaron Rodgers.
And lastly, I saw your tweet about the UNF, North Florida rugby team, won the D2 national championship. I forget, you guys have football up there for North Florida?
We do not. There is a football stadium, but just a track. And I actually mistweeted it, but they appreciated the sentiment nonetheless. They are going to the national championship. They won the regional D2 championship. But yes, they are headed to nationals. And so I posted the link on my social channels. But if you're able to donate because it's a club sport, I had a couple of the guys from the team and from the Alumni Association reach out. They really, really appreciate any support they can get.
Rugby's awesome. I don't understand the scoring all that much still, but I know it's fascinating. But man, if you can have a rugby team, get these guys on a football team, for God's sakes.
Exactly. That would be nice, right? But it costs a lot of money to run a football program, as Jacksonville University found out. And that's part of why their program folded in 2019.
Absolutely. All right, Mia, I'm watching you live and you're on the show. This is funny. Anyway, thank you so much for taking a few and being a good sport about it. Always. You're the best, OB. Love you. Take care and enjoy the draft. Well, maybe we'll talk right after the draft, I'm sure.
Yes, we're defying the laws of logic. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, take care. Mia O'Brien from 1010 XL. Yeah, she's on live right now. Well, not live. She taped an interview, but she's going back on live. Probably about 90 seconds if you want to watch us. Actually, we're gonna end it right here anyway. But that was great for Mia to join us as well from 1010 XL Helmets and Heels. From Duval County, Bill Sparrows. Thanks for joining us from the Boston Herald and. Senior betting analyst from bookies.com, and Bill Burt from the Eagle Tribune. What else is going on today, Angel? Anything?
What's today? Today would be Wednesday. No, nothing coming up. Talking Hoops maybe back next week, next Wednesday. So I'll get together with the gang to see. But no, other than if everybody takes a look at the website once again, things have been realigned on the Pete Sheppard Show live page to make it flow look a little bit better, and also all the replays along with the audio, so you guys can see the uncut version of the replays on there, and then the audio that goes along with it right below it.
Well, and also we're hoping to have a surprise or two, a guest on maybe tomorrow or the end of the week. We're working on some things here on the Pete Sheppard Show as well, and Angel also. So tomorrow back, Trevor Harris will join me. I think John Mita Perella is going to join me, and who knows who else. Angel, I will give you my guest list a little bit later on today. Thanks so much for all you do. Thank you guys for listening, and I'm back tomorrow at 7 a.m. on the Coastal Sports Network. See ya.